African National Congress Secretary General Fikile Mbalula has slammed opposition parties for their rhetoric on the ANC selling out the people of South Africa. He was addressing the media after yesterday's parliamentary debate on the president's opening speech.
That some, for their own survival and exposing their political bankruptcy, wants to present the ANC as having sold out the people. And the ANC will speak for itself. When their own ethno-nationalism, backwardness, and inconsistency constitute a betrayal of the people. Even during the Sixth administration, they consistently voted with the party they now despise against progressive policies introduced by the African National Congress. They are in so-called progressive coalition with others of their ilk, yet all they represent is a pushback against the vision of a united, non-racial, democratic, non-sexist, and prosperous South Africa.
Mbalula says the party opted for the government of national unity to ensure that the priorities of the ANC's manifesto are reflected.
The ANC's 112 years since its formation remains steadfast in its commitment to the cause of the people. It is for this reason that it frankly admits where it made mistakes and self-corrects. It remains the only force in the country which consistently advocates and works for unity, nation building, non-racialism and non-sexism, and will not be deterred despite setbacks. It remains unfaltering in its mission to build a national democratic society through a thoroughgoing program of social and economic transformation. It is for these reasons, having resolved on the option of a government of national unity as the least risky option, we ensured that the minimum program of such a government of national unity and the 7th administration reflected the priorities of the ANC manifesto.
Newzroom Africa's Juniour Khumalo is tracking the story and joins us live. Juniour, good to speak to you this afternoon. Fikile Mbalula, in his defence of the ANC's decision to go with the GNU, saying it reflects issues around the ANC's manifesto. How much of that conversation speaks to looking out for the people of South Africa?
Indeed, Hugo, the secretary of the ANC did indicate that part of the reason why the ANC decided to go the GNU direction was because they wanted to find expression. The policies of the ANC needed to find expression in that policy framework that was announced by the president. He says that the party is indeed still looking out for the interests of South Africans, in particular the black South African majority that still finds itself languishing, especially in poverty, even after 30 years of democracy. So this was the best way of making sure that the policies of the ANC are implemented as the party forges ahead. He indicated that the ANC still retained key portfolios within government that will ensure that this will happen. He said this could have not been the case if they had gone with a different partner. So this is why they chose the partners that they are working with. But the door is not firmly shut for those other parties, indicated the Secretary General of the EFF, Hugo, of the ANC in particular, sorry.
Yeah, there certainly seems to be some conjecture around some of the other issues. What would have been the other key highlights that you would have picked up from this conversation from the ANC Secretary General, Juniour?
There were some concerns, Hugo, that were actually raised by the ANC's alliance partners on Monday when the NEHAU held its political school at Birchwood Hotel. The alliance partners, including COSATU and the SACP, had indicated that had cautioned the ANC against basically losing itself within the government of national unity, expressing worries that the ANC policies might be diluted within that context. But we heard the ANC Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, indicating that this will not be the case, actually. As you saw the president, when he announced that opening of Parliament address, most of the policies that of the ANC contained in its manifesto that was launched in February are contained in that document that the president read out. So he said that the fears were not merited as the ANC was basically firmly in charge, but he did caution some within the organization of basically fighting over positions. We know that the ANC is going to its elective conference in 2 years' time, in 2026. He did caution that there are some within the ANC that are already looking at who is going to be the next leader of the ANC. He said this was not the time to do that. Instead, people were supposed to pull together in one direction and make sure that the policy framework that was outlined by the president on Thursday evening is actually fulfilled, Hugo.
Juniour, one of the questions that came to mind when the ANC leadership speak about the issues around the ANC election manifesto will remain at the fore of this government of national unity is the fact that it is a government of national unity. So you have the DA, you have several other parties, you have the IFP, many others who are members of government. How do you envision that the ANC is going to manage this? Because one would assume that all these other members of the GNU are pushing their own respective agendas outside of what they seek to do for the country as a whole.
Indeed, Hugo. The Secretary General of the ANC did acknowledge that all of these parties within the government of national unity still have their own distinct manifestos that they also tabled before the elections. But one thing that he highlighted was that even in those different manifestos, there were a lot of similarities, more similarities than there were differences. So he said what was necessary at this point was to look at some of those differences and try and see if they can find some common ground and ensure that they can start working for the benefit of the people of this country. So the focus right now is going to be trying to find that common ground. He indicated that that national dialogue that has actually been proposed by the ANC and the president of the country will definitely go ahead now that all of these other ceremonies have taken place, the opening of Parliament, the appointment of the executive. Since all of this has now taken place, now the task was to hold this national dialogue and try and see if there is common ground that is found by all of these parties so that they can forge ahead. A lot of parties in their manifestos basically agree that there is a need to end poverty, there is a need for health care, but it's just how to implement this. And the ANC was very resolute today that they will not back down on the NHI that has been signed into law by the president just on the eve of the elections. We know that the DA actually holds a different view. They don't want the NHI implemented in its current form. We heard the Minister of Health indicating that he would be actually open to amendments to some of those sticking blocks when it comes to that NHI bill. But we're yet to see how this is going to unfold, Hugo.
Juniour Khumalo coming to us on the sidelines of that address by the African National Congress Secretary General Fikile Mbalula post the address to Parliament by President Cyril Ramaphosa. Appreciate your time.